Welcome to Ask Rabbit Entitled Parents, where an entitled mom encourages her kid to steal a blind woman's cane. I have two awesome stories for you today, so let's jump into it. This first post is titled, Entitled Mother Lets Her Kid Steal My Blind Cane. So a bit of a backstory. I am a 28-year-old woman who just recently went fully blind. When I was a teenager, I volunteered with my local youth group to help rebuild Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. And while down there, I picked up a fungal parasite called histoplasmosis that over the decade migrated to my eyes and slowly caused blindness. I've been totally blind for about a year now, so I'm pretty new to it, but I digress. When I first went blind, I barely left the house and was afraid to go in public. I felt like everyone was staring at me, and in all honesty, I barely knew what I was doing. The transition had been difficult, and I didn't have any support group to teach me. One day, my husband asked if I can take an Uber down to the bank and deposit a rent check, and I reluctantly agree. While out, he messages again and reminds me that we're out of a few crucial groceries. There was a Walmart grocery literally across the street from the bank, so I figure everything in life is an experience and I'll have to learn how to shop alone eventually, so why not? Everything was fine at first and I was only grabbing a few things, so I didn't need a cart. I was using my cane and what little echolocation skills I had at the time to get around, but was still bumping into things as we blind tend to do sometimes. My cane suddenly hit something a bit softer, and I figured maybe I had whacked someone's leg, and I apologized. Cue entitled kid and entitled mother. I said, "Shoot, I'm sorry."
"Hey, you just hit my son."
"I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't see him there."
"How could you not see him? He's clearly right here."
Now, I'm fully blind, but I don't wear sunglasses. Mostly because I can't afford a good UV blocking pair, but also I'm not ever looking for pity or to play the part of a generic blind person. I just want to be treated like a normal person, but I do understand her confusion as blindness is a spectrum, so I try to calmly explain. "Ma'am, I'm blind. I can't see anything, let alone your son. That's why I have to use a cane, so I can get around without..." She cuts me off.
"If you're blind, why aren't you wearing big sunglasses?"
Now, as a blind person, I get a lot of stupid questions, but I understand a lot of them are just people who don't know better, so I try to happily answer as many as I can. I said, "Those are really expensive, and I really don't need any inside."
"You're not blind, you're faking it."
Here's where my blood starts to boil. I can't think of any reason someone would want to pretend to be blind. It's actual hell, and nothing pisses me off more than when someone calls me a liar when I'm not. Just as I'm about to respond, I feel a tug, and before I blink, I realize this little demon spawn has snatched my $100 cane from my hands. For those of you who don't understand, that's like if you're shopping and suddenly the power goes out and you can't see a single light. Without my cane, I can barely move at all without crashing into anything. My voice gets shaky as I begin to panic. "Please give that back. I really do need it."
"No, you don't, you liar. My son deserves to play with this more than you."
I hear her shuffle away and my expensive cane cracking into metal displays and such as they leave. I start crying and waving my arms in front of me to grab onto something, anything, and end up crashing and falling into a center aisle display, making a loud scene. Without fail, I somewhat curl into a ball and cry. I'm alone in public, in the dark, and I had no idea what to do. Suddenly, I feel a hand on my shoulder and a man's voice. We'll call him Awesome Guy, and he asks if I'm okay and told me to stay right here. I do, but begin to at least sit up and listen. This man must have been tall and built like a tank because his footsteps sounded like a giant, and I felt a sudden suction of wind when he took off. Maybe about 30 or 40 feet away, I hear this loud bellowing, like an angry lion or a loud crash. Then before I know it, the man is back and helping me to my feet. He takes my hand and puts my cane into my palm and helps me pick up the items I dropped when I fell into the display. I say while wiping tears from my cheeks, thank you so much. I didn't know how to handle that." He said, "Don't worry about it. Some people are just monsters." This guy restored my faith in humanity and even helped me finish shopping and helped me out of the store. As we're leaving, I can hear the familiar screeching of entitled mom, something about awesome guy grabbing the cane and pulling hard, flinging her little devil child into a shopping cart. I don't know if she was exaggerating or not, but it would explain the crash I heard. It's easy to feel alone in a world without sight, but even through the sheer terror of being stripped of my cane, at least I know there are some people willing to stand up for me when I need it. Alright, what type of woman do you have to be to let your kids steal from a blind person? Alright, I hope you all enjoyed that first story. Before we get into the next story, if you guys could please do me a huge favor, smash that like button down below and make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any future content. Alright, this next post is titled, Where Did You Learn to Speak English? England? So my stepmom is British, Welsh to be exact. For those who don't know, Wales is a little hump west of England and north of Cornwall. It's a beautiful place known for sheep, alcohol, and mistakes involving sheep and alcohol. My stepmom is ethnically Welsh, but raised in England. Despite this, my Nain and Tade, Welsh for grandma and grandpa, insisted on her and her brother learning Welsh to preserve their heritage. The Welsh are a proud people, and so they wanted to ensure their children were as immersed as they could be. So she grew up bilingual, went to uni, got a job working for a certain tech giant, and moved to the US to help train their staff. A few years later, she met my dad and joined the family. At the time, I was still getting over my mom, so her presence was less than welcome. Despite this, my stepmom never pushed me or tried to buy her way in. She gave me the room I needed to grieve, and when I was ready, showered me with enough affection to make up for the lost time. She has my eternal love and respect for it, and has become my second mother. Now, we live in a large town in the Midwest, being west of the seaboard but east of the Mississippi, so while most people are open to outsiders, there's the usual few who want to ruin everything. Around Christmas time, I was visiting home from college with my girlfriend Charlie, enjoying some quality girls time with my stepmom. We were in the mall, searching for some place that sold plastic modeling glue for my dad. He's really into Warhammer. During this, my stepmom is on the phone with her brother, who still lives in the UK, catching up and sharing some laughs. They were speaking Welsh to each other, which happened to offend a woman who has since earned the title of Karen. We were standing in front of the mall map, trying to find the hobby store, when I heard a loud scoff from behind us. I turned to see a woman dressed in a rather nice-looking business suit corralling her kids away as if they just encountered a streaker. Now, I was ready to let it go, but Charlie can get very defensive of people she likes, so she ended up calling her out. "Something offend you, ma'am?" She seemed to ponder her next move before responding with that oh-so-stupid phrase, "You're in America. When you're here, you speak English, not Muslim. My kids don't need to hear that." Now, I've met some pretty stupid people in my life, even dated one, but never, ever have I heard of someone confusing Welsh for Arabic. They're two very different languages from two very different cultures. The only similarities between them is how little I understand them. However, for someone to be so offended by someone speaking another language, they probably also didn't immerse themselves too much in other cultures. To her, the world probably began in New York and ended in Los Angeles. It was at this point that my stepmom hung up. "Now, I know that Americans get a bad rap and all," she said in an obvious British accent, "but it doesn't help when you actively conform to the stereotype." "Oh my God," Karen said with righteous indignation. "Your accent is awful. Where did you even learn to speak English?" My stepmom held the most deadpan expression she could. England. I swear I could smell the smoke coming from the flaming mess inside Karen's skull. She looked at Charlie and I, a pair of shockingly Caucasian college brats, and then my stepmom, our even paler chaperone, took a moment to process what she was doing, and then walked away, dragging a group of embarrassed-looking tweens with her. I have to give her credit. At least she knew when to quit. My stepmom chuckled, muttered an offensive-sounding Welsh phrase, and then helped us scan the map for the hobby shop. The rest of the day went well, and we had a funny story to tell my dad when we got back. Alright, that's going to wrap up today's Entitled Parents video. I hope you enjoyed those two stories. If you did, definitely go ahead and smash that like button down below and leave a comment letting me know which one was your favorite story. If you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any future content. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.